Hello, this is Ryan Szymanski, curator for Battleship New Jersey Museum and Memorial, and today we're going to be talking about shipboard phones. Battleship New Jersey has well over 800 phones on board. They come in a couple of different types, some of them particularly old, and some of them 80s era like this one. Intercompartmental communication is extremely important on the ship for communicating orders and reporting on damage, and a whole host of other reasons. The oldest types of internal communication type systems that the ship has are brass voice tubes. If you were the new person on the ship, they might tell you to go and listen to a voice tube and then have somebody up above dump a cup of water down it. These tend to be in the engineering spaces, which are multi-level high, like the one we're in here, and also in bridge spaces. So where there would be lookouts above, they can call down through a voice tube to the steering station below. There are traditional landside office type phones on board. These don't work when the ship is at sea, but when we're in port, you could run a phone line just as easily as you're running power, water, and all that. And then when the ship is tied up pierside for a long time, the ship's office can call shoreside for whatever reason. There was an old 7-digit phone number for a pizza place written on the bulkhead near one of those types of phones in the ship's office here. There are also phones like the one I just answered, which is part of a ship's service telephone system. So these run through a 1980s era computer and they're 4-digit phone numbers, and all the important compartments of the ship have one or more of these in them so that you can call straight link one compartment to another. Same thing as a regular shoreside phone, except it will only call other rooms on the battleship. What I think is the most interesting type of phone on board are the sound-powered phones like this one. The other types of phone systems we've talked about, with the exception, of course, of the voice tube, require power to run. What powers a sound-powered phone? Sound. This is the naval equivalent of 2 cups attached by a string. There is a membrane inside the speaker on the phone so that when you talk into it, that membrane vibrates and creates enough power to transmit your message over a regular telephone line. Throughout the ship, you'll see sound-powered jacks like this one, where you can plug other phones into. Or you'll see phones that are permanently wired in like these. The sound-powered phones come in a couple of different flavors. There's a type called a growler that is more compartment to compartment, and it's got a selector switch on it that will allow you to dial one of a certain number of compartments that are just pre-wired in. And you turn that selector switch and you turn a crank, and it makes a growling sound on the other end that lets them know that somebody's calling, so they answer the phone. Other ones like these are party lines, where anybody who's got the receiver picked up hears what is said over that circuit. And different departments have their own dedicated circuit. So like the gunnery department is all on one circuit. So the gunnery officer can pass orders through the whole department. Engineering is all on one circuit, so on and so forth. The sound-powered phone jacks are usually labeled with what circuit you're plugging into, and there are both phones and headsets that you can wear that plug into those. So there's even a special type of helmet called a Mickey Mouse helmet that you wear over top of your sound-powered headset. And these would have been extremely common at gunnery positions and other places where you need a phone talker, and it's not somebody just holding a phone to their head the whole time. They've got the headset on and they've got the speaker mounted on their chest, and they just have to push a button when they want to transmit. If you come and visit the Battleship, you'll also see some red telephones throughout the ship. There are something like 40 some of them scattered throughout, but those are not actually telephones at all. They are radios, voice-over radios that you can pick up, and it feeds back to a big red box in the radio room called the Coke machine, because guess what it looks like? And so places like the Bridge and the Combat Engagement Center have phones like that installed so that you can do ship-to-ship voice communication. Some of the engineering spaces have phone booths in them, and they are basically soundproof boxes that you can speak into. They don't have a door on them or anything, but they dampen enough of the sound of the turbines or diesel generators that you can hear what's being said. And those booths tend to have a ship service telephone and a sound-powered phone in them. Speaking of sound, that ringing sound you heard at the beginning of the video is significantly louder than at phones in other parts of the ship. We're in the boiler room here, or the fire room, so the sound of the combustion happening in the boiler is going to be loud enough that you might not hear a traditional ring. So this thing has a big old cowbell on it that you can hear throughout the whole compartment. Many of the phone systems on the Battleship still work. The voice tubes, of course, those work, you can't break them. The ship service telephones, we have some volunteers who come in and maintain the computer system that runs them. And because it's so old, that's a constant challenge. And there's, at any given time, probably only half of the phones on the ship are functioning because they're properly programmed into the computer. But we do maintain the important ones on the tour route so that if there's an emergency, I can call back to quarterdeck, and where I know there would be a staff member if we're open. And in some tours, like the engine room tour on board, we even ask them to install phones in places that they wouldn't have originally been for emergency use. So again, they then have to program that into the computer. Fortunately, we have been able to recover identical or similar phones from other ships that we've shipped parts off of, so we're able to use that to add new lines to the system and keep the system working. Many of the sound-powered phone circuits still work. That's basically corded, so as long as that isn't cut or shorted out, it should work just fine. And many of the growlers, you can dial a compartment and turn the wheel and it will make the sound in the other compartment, and if somebody picks it up, it works. Oftentimes, staff members in different locations around the ship will get calls on the growlers and pick it up, only to find that it was a visitor who had found one and tried to use it in space and randomly dialed them. So, crank calls happen even on a ship service telephone system. Here's an example of an original voice tube in number 2 engine room. So if you come and take our engineering tour, you can check this one out. You get to see both the top and the bottom end of it. Do you know how to use a rotary telephone? Let us know in the comments section below. Battleship New Jersey receives operating support from the New Jersey Department of State and also from viewers like you. Your support allows us to make multiple videos a week, and we really appreciate it. If you want to be notified when we're putting out new content, remember to like, share, and subscribe. And thanks for watching.